Hi everyone. So for this project, I've picked the employment and unemployment rates of individuals with disability and ADA policies to investigate. So the very first act, the Americans with Disability Act, was established in 1991. And that act was established to protect the rights and offer an equal opportunities to individuals with disability. So ever since the first act was established in 1991, the Bureau of the Labor Statistics started collecting data on employment and unemployment rates for individuals with disability. So considering that for this study, we will use COVID-19 as a significant indicator to investigate those differences between employment and unemployment rates for individuals with disability. Before COVID-19 in 2018 and 2019, 19% of individuals with disability were employed. In 2020 and 2022, after COVID, 21% of individuals with disability were employed. So some previous research studies have argued that it is really essential to understand the barriers that were preventing individuals with disability from actually obtaining and retaining the employment. So the research questions that will guide this study, and there are three. So the first question is, what are the employment and unemployment trends of individuals aged 16 to 64 with and without disability before and after COVID-19? The second question is, what is the difference in the employment rates between men and women aged 16 to 64 with and without disability before and after COVID-19 compared to the entire United States population? And then the third question is, what is the difference in the unemployment rates between men and women aged 16 to 64 with and without disability before and after COVID-19 compared to the entire United States population? Per ADA and CDC and other research studies, disability can be physical or intellectual impairment. Some previous research studies argued that stigma and discrimination represented a significant barrier in obtaining and retaining jobs for individuals with disability. Also, stigma and discrimination was the factor that was changing the mindset of individuals with disability about disclosing their disability in the workplace environment. Also, Turnuk and Ra argued in their study that lack of understanding what stigma and discrimination can cause, it actually arises from the public and society and not just within the workplace environment or just the organizations. So under ADA, employers are responsible to provide the workplace accommodations to individuals with disability. Some previous research studies, they identified modified work schedules, transportation, and modified job duties as a positive influencer on individuals with disability, their performances, but it's also increasing the employment opportunities for individuals with disability. Interesting study that was done by Badridge and Viega in 2001, they argue that specifically modified work schedules, modified job duties, and transportation as a workplace accommodations and employment benefits for individuals with disability also decreases the society's stigma and discrimination towards those disabled individuals. So for this research study, the research design and methodology that will guide this study will use the United States Bureau of the Labor Statistics data, BLS data, from 2018, 2019, and 2021, and 2022. We will eliminate the 2020 year because that's the year when the COVID actually started. One interesting thing about BLS survey is that survey collects the data on disability employment and also provides the most accurate rates. Some other national surveys are also including the demographic data, but BLS is specific only for employment rates and unemployment rates for individuals with disability. The overall goal of this study is to answer the research questions, but also investigate if the COVID-19 has any impact on those employment and unemployment rates, specifically of the individuals with disability. But we also want to see if the COVID-19 had any impact on employment and unemployment rates for individuals without disability. And here we're talking about both genders, men and women, 16 to 64 years old. Just previously mentioned in the previous slide, the overall goal is to answer the research questions, but also understand what are the specific barriers that individuals with disabilities faces nowadays to obtain and retain jobs. There's some previous studies have concluded that the lack of understanding and accessibility prevents employers from providing workplace accommodations. By saying the lack of understanding, we're also talking about the lack of education that some employers might not be having in order to satisfy and actually accommodate the individuals with disability and their organization. Some other research studies argued that specifically modified work schedules, modified job duties, equipment and training and onboarding policies are essential workplace accommodations and vital factors in contributing to employment opportunities and creating that safe environment for individuals without disability where stigma and discrimination is not present. So the research model that will guide this study will have a workplace accommodations as an independent variable. We'll have a type of disability as independent variable. Type of disability and workplace accommodations actually depend on each other because based on disability, the employer is able to identify what type of workplace accommodations individuals need. COVID-19 is the significant indicator. So we will be looking the years before COVID-19, specifically 2018, 2019, and after COVID, we'll specifically look into 2021 and 2022. The unemployment rates will represent our dependent variable, and that is also something that we want to investigate to see if any of these variables are having a significant impact on those unemployment rates. As mentioned, we'll use the BLS data set, specifically just looking 2018 and 2019, 2021, and 2022. COVID-19 will be the major indicator. So we will look before COVID-19 rates and we'll look the rates after COVID-19. Besides looking to investigate and answer the research questions, we also want to investigate those differences in employment and unemployment rates, specifically just for individuals with disabilities. We're talking about men and women, 16 to 64 years old. We also want to gain the better understanding of employment benefits. Here, we're taking workplace accommodations as employment benefits, which can also be a leading assumption that we'll try to prove through our hypothesis. So the main hypothesis that will lead this study and we'll try to test is that if individuals with a disability have a significant higher unemployment rates than individuals without disability. The positive hypothesis will be the workplace accommodations, specifically such as modified work schedules, modified job duties, equipment, and training onboarding policies lead to the higher employment rates for individuals with disability. And the negative hypothesis will be the workplace accommodations as modified work schedules, modified job duties, equipment, training, and onboarding policies are actually not vital for the employment rates of individuals with disability, meaning they do not have any impact on those employment rates and are non-influencing or actually are significant for the individuals with disability. For the methodology section, as we said, the study aims to answer the research questions, but also use the independent variables, which is workplace accommodations and type of disability, as the representative of the cause and the impact of those changes in unemployment and unemployment rates. So we will use the data software to analyze the data systematically. There is 32 variables and 480 observations, including the year and the average rate of each year in the variable. So here we have men and women variables, 16 to 64 years old variables. We also have employment and rates with and without disability for men, employment rates with and without disability for women, and we also have unemployment rates with disability men, unemployments without disability men, and unemployments with disability women, and unemployment rates without disability women. We will also use as previous some studies have used, the descriptive statistical analysis that would include the mean, standard deviation, the frequencies. And some other studies use the regression analysis to test their hypothesis and see if actually the major indicator, which in this case it's COVID-19, has any impact or can actually help in proving the hypothesis, or it will turn to actually reject the hypothesis. Thank you.